what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Let's stick with LSU Wisconsin for a minute, though. We talked about offensively. Obviously, it's all about us. Will Neighbors break the record? I guess there's maybe some running back intrigue and like whose day will it be, but not really that much. Maybe you see like a DJ Chester or something if you get out to a big lead. Maybe get eyes on some of these future linemen. Obviously, Lance Hurd not going to be among that number. What about defensively, Jake? Because that's really where I think the temperature of the game is going to be decided, in that if this Wisconsin offense, which is not good, comes out there and puts up points and moves the ball consistently and converts third downs, like you think it's loud now with the Madhouse stuff? If you go out there and put on a bad performance, it's going to it's just going to dominate the offseason.
I don't think there's any question about it. It's probably going to, regardless of how they perform in this bowl game. Although, it certainly could help if you went out there. And like one defensive note, and we talked about it, like Denver Harris, we weren't really sure because we weren't hearing anything, and some thought maybe he would be available. I don't know. He is in the portal. That came out last night. So Denver Harris in the portal. No Deuce Chestnuts in the portal.
This did end exactly how we thought
it was going
What?
to end. But, that's not a player that you were really counting on. Like, we were surprised, like, when he wasn't in the portal, right? So you're going to have the guys that you thought were going to be there. I did see J.K. Johnson transfer from Ohio State. I did see him post, like, him practicing. Now, I don't know if he's going to be available to play in the game, but remember, that's somebody you brought in from Ohio State. He missed all of the season because he got injured in camp. I believe it was a fracture in his leg. But so we'll see exactly who you have available. But again, like Mekhi Wingo's playing in this game, so you do get some bodies back. Maybe one of your best players in Mekhi Wingo. Now, what kind of form he's in and shape and all those things, we don't know that. But I would just look, guys that you're going to see next year, Whit Weeks and Toviano
Too long
and
since you've got real eyes on Weeks.
Yeah, that's who I want to see.
Yeah,
like I want to see Greg Penn's coming back. Okay, well, we know what Greg Penn is. He'll be in there as well. But I do want to see some of the young players that we haven't had a chance to see, and allow them to use this as a springboard into the offseason. You know that. You played in bowl games.
Yeah.
You can take momentum from a bowl game. I know for me, 05 Peach Bowl, we played against Miami, and to that point in my career, I was a fullback, and then I was somebody that came in to close out a game if we were up playing running back.
Yeah.
Just, hey, we're going to run power 17 straight times and get in there and get at it. But then in that game, we had injuries. We had guys fumble. We had guys miss pass protection. And Les is like, get in there. And so I had a chance to get in there. Had like 11 carries. Got to run behind Andrew Whitworth, which that was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Scored a couple touchdowns. And then from that, I got to actually compete for the starting running back job in the spring because of that one bowl game. So for me in my career, like that bowl game really propelled me to being the starting running back for 2 years at LSU. And you can have those moments, not only for yourself, but in the coach's eyes.
Yeah, and I think I agree with E. Goddard in the chat. I want to see the young corners and safeties get good playing time in the bowl. And to your point, Jake, like the practices leading up to the bowl are a nice chance for a guy like Javen Toviano or Ashton Stamps to kind of exhale. Because when you are thrust into a season for the first time in a starting role, and this is even the case if you know you're kind of going to be the starter going into the season, right? Like you win the job at camp. The regular season, your first year especially, can feel a bit like you're on a train where the lever is jammed, like full acceleration. You can't do anything. You're just trying to keep it on the tracks, right? Like you are hurtling down those tracks. There's no stopping it. Because as soon as you get done with the game on Saturday, you got stretch and stride on Sunday, you got practice on Monday, you got and then it all starts over again, right?
Yep.
And the next opponent's right there. So like when you get to this period of the season, you can finally take a breath and like, ooh, okay, I can get back in the lab, get a couple weeks to get my body right, study, work on technique. And so you can take pretty large leaps from then to now. And so I think I want to see if these guys are taking advantage of this. And this is a Wisconsin team that, though they run the air raid, averages 200 yards passing a game. 200.
Yeah.
You should shut them down. I want to see Sage Ryan and whatever role they have him in. So, yeah, the secondary, I hadn't thought about Weeks, but you're right. I am extremely excited to see Weeks. The secondary is probably what I'm most intrigued by. Unfortunately, I should be excited for Harold Perkins, but they just neutered him so badly this year that I'm sure he'll still come up with a couple plays because he's so undeniable that he does. But I doubt, I have no great hope left that they're going to put him in any sort of special position to succeed.
What players do we expect to see maybe that we haven't seen? I think Womack mentioned yesterday that he is going to be the starting jack linebacker in sub packages.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
So, I mean, that certainly is something that could be exciting. And that's kind of something that we're talking about, okay? Somebody that we think is going to be a really good player, somebody that's flashed, right? Not going to be fully consistent. It's a young football player. Otherwise, he'd be out there in a struggling defense. But with 15 extra practices, and again, you know how important those are. And they're not normal practices, and I think most of our audience knows that. I mean, you get after it a little bit, right? Because you're like, okay, well, if you get injured, you know what? It's the end of the year, like T-Bob's talking about. You don't have stretch and stride the next day because it's over. It's done. You have time to heal, recover before you get to the fourth quarter program. And so they're more physical. And with LSU's numbers, it's not physical for the young guys because the young guys are the guys on that side of the football. So, a guy like Womack, a guy like Jordan Allen at the safety position, some of the players that we've seen a little bit, little flashes from, well, in a bowl game scenario, they'll get more run just because the coaches want to see them. So, in the regular season, let's say safety position, well, we're going to put Major Burns out there because he knows what he's doing and we feel more comfortable with a veteran player. Well, in a bowl game, it's like, hey, let's roll Jordan Allen out there and see what he can do. And that's what you do in a bowl game.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for let's see what they can do, guys. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing some of the guys that we have not seen because this defense needs a complete overhaul. It needs a facelift in the worst way, and you need to see if these players are players you can count on in the future.
Yeah, so a lot to look forward to on Monday. For what it's worth, I think LSU smashes. They should. They really should. I don't know, Jake, that you could come up with an acceptable excuse for losing this game. You know what I'm saying? Every other loss this year, it's palatable. Florida State was awesome.
Yeah.
Ended up undefeated. Ole Miss ended up being really good, top 10. Would have made the playoffs if they'd been the last team in, if it was a 12-team playoff. Alabama's Alabama. No excuse for this one. No excuse. And I don't think they will, to be clear. I think LSU's going to roll. I think they'll smash. I think it's going to be very akin to last year where it almost just feels like you're going through the motions, just having fun, dominating. The only difference is instead of Prince Chedward or instead of a giant anthropomorphic strawberry Pop-Tart or instead of a man wearing a giant bloomin' onion, it's now ReliaQuest. I don't even know what ReliaQuest is. Wow, Jake. What incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.